amazing Australians and the story of their lives. You're tuned to Lots to Chat About with Rosemary Peterswald.
Hello, listeners, and once again, welcome. My guest today is Peter Archer, who worked with Vision Australia for 10 years and is the founder of Beyond Vision. Peter, who is sight impaired and has other challenges to face, founded this community for those like him who are sight impaired. It allows people to socialise and be involved in various activities like outings to museums and galleries, concerts, plays, or just going to a cafe or a restaurant for a meal and a catch-up. Peter's goal is to create an easy-going atmosphere where people can feel comfortable to be themselves. It's a non-judgmental environment that is welcoming and supportive, and his key strengths are compassion, empathy, open-mindedness, and building rapport. So, welcome, Peter.
Hello, Rosemary. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Now, Peter, you told me you have an eye condition named Stargardt's, is it?
That's right.
How you said it, which is sort of a form of muscular generation. But you also have a couple of other challenges to face as well, which one of them being a bone disease, which you said, which makes your bones sort of didn't grow completely. So that's sort of a double whammy, isn't it, to be hit with? But
bit of a mixed bag.
Yes. But looking at you, you look particularly fit and well and whatever. So you've obviously managed to overcome those setbacks.
Thank you for painting that picture for the audience. I appreciate that. But yeah, it was difficult at the time. And I think anybody who gets diagnosed with any type of condition, I mean, you do go through stages of, discomfort. It's almost like going through the stages of grief. I guess you don't really believe it's happening at first, and then, the anger sets in and so on and so forth. And it was challenging for a long time, but I always felt like I wanted to make something of my life. I didn't want it to get the better of me.
Right. How old were you, Peter, when your eyesight started to deteriorate?
I first started noticing it when I was about 8 or 9, but I always tell people that I was able to read a book one day, and the next day it was like very difficult for me to read. But now that I think about it more, you don't just lose your eyesight overnight like that. So I guess it was gradually building up until that point, until I actually did notice it.
Yes, different to Paul, isn't it, Paul, with you? Because Paul was actually born with sight impairment. So it's a different kettle of fish. You knew what it was like, didn't you, to be able to see?
Yes. I don't really remember what it was like, but yeah.
You're very young.
Yeah. I think so.
So, Peter, what inspired you to start Beyond Vision? I know, as we said, that you worked with Vision Australia for many, many years, and then you decided that you'd start Beyond Vision. So what inspired you to do that?
I was working at Vision Australia as a community support worker for about 9 years and running a whole bunch of different social groups, from walking groups to special interests groups, where I would try to teach my clients skills and look up more information about topics they're interested in. I ran a cooking class for a very long time and a whole handful of groups. And even through COVID, we did Zoom groups, which was really interesting. And then, unfortunately, I was made redundant. All the community support workers were at the time,
right,
which was a bit of a shock. And I was given a couple of options from Vision Australia to work for other organisations, and even a couple of roles at Vision Australia itself. And I guess there was this feeling of maybe I would like to see if I could do this for myself. And I really wanted to continue on with the work I'd been doing and continue on supporting the clients that I had been supporting for such a long time. So I just thought, let's try this. Let's see how this goes.
So was that in Brisbane? Are you a Brisbane man?
I'm a Brisbane man. I was grew up in Sandgate, on the north side of Brisbane. Beautiful place, right by the water.
Lovely. So when you worked for Vision Australia, you were working out of Brisbane?
I lived in a few different locations. So I was living in Fortitude Valley for a little bit, right next to the Jubilee. Very, very loud.
Yes.
I don't recommend it. And then I met my to-be wife, and we lived in 8 Mile Plains for a bit, and then moved to Carina Heights, where we're currently living. So it wasn't too bad, just like a bus and a train. It's a pretty common story for a lot of vision impaired and blind people. You got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely. And tell me now, you've got a son.
Yes,
Yes.
his name is Ethan. He's 3 years old.
Oh, lovely. So just going back to starting Beyond Vision, gosh, where did you where did you start?
Well, it was first coming up the name. The name came to me at like 2 o'clock in the morning.
It's a great name, really.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you. And I told my wife about it the next day, and she was excited, but we were a little bit apprehensive because I've never run my own business before.
Right.
But I assured her that I was in a very lucky position where Vision Australia allowed me to continue working with the clients that I was supporting at Vision Australia because they weren't doing that type of service themselves. So luckily, a few clients came on board straight away, and just sort of took it from there. And the idea behind it was, I often say in a lot of my videos that I put up on Facebook that we're creating unique experiences because there are a lot of community support workers out there, and you've got to try and stand out somehow.
Yes.
So, there's a lot of people doing what I do, taking people out to different places, but what's different about Beyond Vision is that we're all living, a shared experience. We're all living the experience of having a disability. So I have that experience. So that creates a kind of kinship between myself and my clients, which you wouldn't necessarily find anywhere else. I mean, that's something you can't really learn in university or anything like that. It's just...
Exactly. You've really got to experience what it's like to be living like that. You sound as though when you go out, and I watched a video where you're all having an absolute ball. And music, of course, is very much part, but you go to galleries, you go to all sorts of different places. So it sounds as though it's a wonderful organisation to be part of.
Yeah, I believe my clients are having a very good time, and I'm having a good time as well. So if the support worker is having equally a good time, it makes the biggest difference. So part of my role at Vision Australia was doing a lot of research into Friday outings, and so I've got like years of outings up on the website, and I'm always looking for different out of the box sort of things to do. As I said before, unique things to do. So recently we've been to places like Shark and Ray Nursery out at Loganholme, where you get to go in a wading pool, and a gentleman who's had a lot of experience around sharks and different marine life. He'll introduce you to these sharks and stingrays, which have been rescued from nearby areas, and apparently they're debarbed. I believe that. I hope so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nobody was eaten.
No. And he talks all about sharks and gives you a whole sort of great, rich information and history about his organization and marine life in general. So that was just one outing. And before that, I took a client to a place in West End called TH7 Body Lab, which was sort of like a wellness spa sort of place. So you spend 20 minutes in a sauna, and then you spend 3 minutes in a cold plunge pool, which is like negative 12 degrees. Then you go into a hot pool, back into the cold plunge, into a steamer for 20 minutes, then back into the cold plunge. So different things like that. I'm always trying to look up new ideas and make it interesting.
Absolutely, and wonderful sensations and whatever. But just going back to music, you go to concerts, and we were talking about that actually last week. I had Mary Dickinson on our show, who is what's called an influencer and has lots of followers on social media. But we were talking about the importance of music and adding music to any things that we actually sort of put on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. And it came across, yes, how important music is for those people that are sight impaired. So going to concerts must be a wonderful thing.
I completely agree. I mean, some of the concerts that I've gone to recently of clients with, we don't know what to expect from the concert. And when we walk away from it, we're just, we're amazed. We're feeling much lighter and happier, and we're talking about all our favorite moments in the concert, and it creates this really nice bonding experience between myself and whoever I'm supporting. There's something so powerful about music. And luckily, a few of the people that support me, I have an amazing volunteer named Tom Cullerton, who
Irish Tom.
Yes. He's amazing on the acoustic guitar. Loves his blues music.
Yes.
So we'll often go out for barbecues, like at the Combsley Park Reserve or something like that, and he'll just pick up the guitar and start playing a couple of songs. And if he doesn't know a song, he'll learn it right then and there. And you should see just everybody just get up and dance and start singing, and it's a wonderful thing to see.
How wonderful. Why is he called Major Thomas too? Was he in the army? Or?
No, it's after the David Bowie song, Major Tom.
Oh, okay. Of course. As our listeners would know, when I spoke to Paul earlier on a few weeks ago, Paul, also, you play a number of instruments, don't you, Paul? And how important music is to your life.
Certainly do. I've pick up just about anything and have a go at it. I haven't done the bagpipes yet, but
there's still time.
One day.
Still time.
It is amazing. So it's not amazing. It's just wonderful that music is so much part of all of our lives. I must admit, the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is turn the music on, and it's on all through the day and until we go to bed at night.
Yeah.
It is very much part. But now, Peter, just going back to what we were talking about, social media, and how sort of people that are sight impaired are able to interact, which brings me to, how do you sort of contact everybody when you're telling them you've got a wonderful function lined up or whatever? Do you do it on social media, or do you do it by phone call, or do you do it in other ways?
All of those ways, really. I post a lot of things up on Facebook, so I'll just let people know what's coming up, and I'll also show them videos after the fact. So if they saw an outing that they liked, then I let them know that they can contact me if they'd like to do it themselves.
Right.
Put it all up on my website as well. So www.peterarcherbeyondvision.com. So a lot of stuff goes up there.
Yes.
And I also just call around. So I get a pretty good idea about what interests my clients. So when something comes up that I know that they'll enjoy, I'll just call them up and say, it's on this certain day. Would you like to come along? Would you like it to be an individual activity, or would you like it to be a group activity?
Right. And do you pick them up, or do you have a sort of certain meeting point where you meet, or does Major Tom pick them up? And what happens there?
Major Tom helps out with, we do Friday outings once a fortnight, so he'll do all the picking up for those outings. I also work alongside another company called Love to Assist, who's run by James Coxey and Chris Smith, wonderful, wonderful people. They do a great job as well. So sometimes we'll do joint outings, and they call it the milk run. They'll go around and they'll pick everybody up, and we'll split the cost of how much the fuel would cost, and that. Yes. He has a way of taking it out of all of our packages. I'll sometimes hire a support worker to pick me up and to take me to my clients' homes, to possibly pick my client up and take us to a nearby train station or public transport of some sort. So that's another way of doing it. Or just catching taxis and adding that to the invoice at the end.
But you also have a number of sort of Zoom groups, don't you, as well, which you do things like trivia and spelling bees and comedy hour and book club and a podcast group.
That was when I was working at Vision Australia, but I would love to get the Zoom groups up again if that does interest anybody. They're so much fun. You can do them from, the peace and quiet of your own home, and it's just a great, easygoing way to catch up with like-minded people and to have fun at the same time. So that's something I'll be looking at in the next couple of weeks, setting something like that up.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Now, you're listening to Lots to Chat About. I'm Rosemary Peterswald, and my guest today is Peter Archer, founder of Beyond Vision. You did say that with the NDIS being a little bit tougher now, it makes things a little bit fragile with Beyond Vision. Is that right? And things can be a bit tough.
Yeah, I think the NDIS are sort of cracking down on everyone. It seems everyone I speak to is NDIS funded, which I guess is fair enough. More and more people are going on the NDIS every day, and they don't have a limitless source of money. So I guess that they do have to do these things, even though that we think that they're unfair at the time. So I just have to be very conscious of how I spend my funding and how my clients spend their funding as well. They can't just go to concerts all the time. They need people to come in and maybe support them with cleaning and other necessary things. So it's just about being mindful and not sort of exhausting anybody's funds, including my own.
Exactly, and you need to sort of stand out in a different way, don't you? Because as you've said, there is sort of support workers coming out and saying, well, they can do a similar sort of thing. But as you've said before, they're not actually living with the conditions that you are, and being able to be, well, so much part of it all, rather than sort of looking from the outside. It's a totally different thing, isn't it?
And that's what I'm really trying to promote. I mean, like you said, there's support workers coming out of the wazoo, but as far as people that have the lived experience of disability, we're a smaller group. We're a smaller group of people, and I think that is such an asset for this type of industry. I mean, I can't tell you what it's like when I first meet a client. It feels like this instant connection, because we've both had our struggles and we're both trying to get through them the best that we can, and we acknowledge that in each other, and we appreciate that in each other, and we just want to support each other to live the best lives that we can, whatever that looks like.
Exactly. Now, Billy, you've travelled a lot, and you've been to Peru, where you attended ayahuasca retreats in the Amazon jungle. Now, my daughter Charlotte actually belonged for many years and still does to Mind Medicine Australia. And Mind Medicine Australia were very active and proactive in getting it made legal, ayahuasca that is, in Australia. But anyway, tell us a little bit about your trip to Peru and how it's helped you, because it's been a wonderful, wonderful thing for people suffering from depression or post-traumatic stress, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's becoming more and more popular. I mean, if you ask a GP about it, they'll call it ayahuasca or something like that. It's not quite it's not quite in the that sphere, but it is becoming more popular, like I said. So I didn't just go over there on a whim. I was facing quite a lot of difficulties in my life at the time. I was diagnosed with major depression, but thinking back on those times, if you go in and you tell a specialist that you've got an eyesight condition, a bone condition, there's depression in the family, of course they're going to be thinking like that. So that label didn't really serve me, but and it took me a little while to rise above, and I put in a lot of hard work. I listened to many self-help books, listened to philosophers. I learned more about why people do the things they do by doing courses like Lifeline Crisis Call Counselling, social work. I did some things at TAFE as well, just trying to learn more about, myself and how can I navigate this? How can I find that light at the end of the tunnel that everybody's talking about? And then a friend of mine mentioned ayahuasca, and I looked into that, and he did a lot of research into the safest places to do it, and a lot of those places were in the Amazon, so a long trip to get over there, something like 35, 40 hours, 3 or 4 stop-offs along the way, and it was amazing for me. It was an amazing experience, and it's exactly what I needed, and I couldn't tell you the scientific way that it all works, but I can let you know that it's an ancient tradition. I mean,
is it the magic mushrooms from beyond? I mean, from a while ago,
the Beyond Vision magic mushrooms? No. It's different to that. So ayahuasca they use 2 particular trees, the roots of the trees plus some other ingredients, and the brewing process takes some time. It can take a day, it can take longer, and it's an ancient tradition. So I went about a Shipibo version of the tradition. And they don't take it lightheartedly. I mean, there's ceremony that's put in place. There's intentions that are put in place. They are very caring people. They treat you like they're children, and it's challenging to describe how I felt. But if I could tell you that after the number of ceremonies that I did, I walked away feeling lighter. I had all these insights into my life, and I felt like there was a place for me in this world. I felt valued. I valued myself more. I just was amazing. Like I came back and people noticed that I was smiling more, and I was just so, like I said before, just so much lighter, and just saw life as just it was magical again for me. And it encouraged me to do things that I would never have done before. Like,
how long ago was it that when you went, actually?
Just before I met my wife, actually. So the last time I went was about 5 or 6 years ago.
Right. I've watched a number of movies through Mind Medicine Australia and through Charlotte, and it is an extraordinary thing, particularly with ex-servicemen who come back from war in Afghanistan, or even going back as far as Vietnam, where my husband was, where they have managed to help people tremendously by the use of ayahuasca, and to watch some people who were so traumatised before and then come out the other end. It's quite an amazing thing, really.
I've seen it, yeah, and it also helps people who have had difficulties with alcohol and drugs and all sorts of abuse and things like that. And they sing these songs during the ceremony. They're called Icaroses, and to just listen to them, they just sound like these lovely Spanish songs that are by themselves. Just listening to that is a healing thing.
Yes.
But I recently found out that those songs are actually like a set of instructions, and it was described to us like imagine, say, like a dentist. You're going to see a dentist appointment. So if the dentist was to say everything that he was doing, he would be saying like, okay, I'm going to open your mouth now. I'm going to clean your teeth. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. That's what the songs, if you translate them to English, actually are. They're like a set of instructions. But instead they're saying, okay, I'm going to enter your body now. I can see where the pain is in your body. I'm going to go about extracting that pain, and so on and so forth. So it's fascinating how they do it.
It is an amazing thing, and now, as I say, it is legal in Australia, which so if people do want to take part in it, they don't actually have to go to the Amazon, although that's quite an experience. Now, just going back to Beyond Vision, are there people that are loath to come and join your outings, that they sort of at home and they feel in a little bit of a cocoon and they're nervous about going out and meeting other people and whatever? So how do you go about persuading them to come and join in?
That does happen from time to time, and I guess I just got to gauge where that's coming from. Like, if it's something that maybe they do need a little bit of time at home, maybe there are some real difficult things that they're going through with family, or maybe they're just having a day where they do want to stay home. But I guess eventually what I'll try to do is just gently encourage them and say that maybe it is time to go out for a little bit. It doesn't have to be a full day.
Very therapeutic.
Yeah. And that can be great. I mean, just being outside, it's interesting with the outings when we do them, like when everyone hops in the car, people are a little bit quiet, a little bit reserved, and as the day sort of goes on, we're listening to music that everybody likes in the car, where we're catching up, asking each other how our week's been, and then when we get to the destination, say if we're going to Kirra Beach, we're going for a walk along Kirra Beach, we're feeling the water with our feet as we're walking along, and you can see them starting to
relax and become part of it.
And the smile starts creeping up on their face, and they, you can see the transformation. And by the end of the day, I mean, they're completely different from when they first started. And so just real basic stuff, like just that's just the day folding out naturally. And then on top of that, I'm just trying to be as positive as I can, and I'm trying to create a lighthearted mood, and we're joking around, and we're, I'm also checking in with them in my own little way, just seeing, how they're doing, making sure that everything's going okay in their lives. And
it's a wonderful, wonderful thing that you're doing. And going back to watching the video, which I did, of one of your outings there, and it was obviously Irish Tom, I would say, playing guitar, I think it was, or whatever, and you're all singing along, and it just looks terrific fun.
Yeah. And we'll order pizza, and we'll have a little sing song like you said, and it's just it's just really easy and really light, and if people can just feel comfortable being themselves. They're not going to be judged. They're just, we all accept you for who you are. We're all different, and
we certainly are.
That's
and,
fine.
And,
it's more than fine.
Oh, exactly, and it's just a wonderful thing. But tell me now, what's in the future for Beyond Vision? Have you got anything specific that's coming up that you'd like to tell our listeners about? Or?
So the Zoom groups, which I'll be working on, but also I'd like to encourage people to have a look at joining us for our Friday outings every second Friday. So I team up with Love to Assist, and we're going to places all across Brisbane. We're up and down the coast. We're going to all. If you look on the website, there's a whole list of outings there, and we're going to zoos. We're having barbecues. We went to the Chinese New Year not long ago. So just things like that. When events pop up, and I think it's going to interest my clients, I'll advertise those. And so every second Friday, we're going to do an outing. And it's usually from about 9 a.m. to 3.
How lovely.
Includes morning tea, includes lunch. You do have to bring your own money along for that.
Yes.
It's just a fun day.
It sounds as though it's terrific fun. And what about Peter Archer and his family? Have you got any sort of future things? I know Paul loves to go pack up the four-wheel drive and go camping and whatever. What have you got? Anything sort of planned?
Well, we'll probably head down to my wife's place in a little bit, down to Woolgoolga to see her family. So that's just before Coffs Harbour. That's a beautiful part of the world. So beaches and rainforests and things like that. So we like to catch up with Emma's family every now and again. Apart from that, usually we try and go on holiday at the end of the year. So last year we went to Mermaid Waters. This year, maybe Bali. Who knows?
Oh, lovely. Well, I must now tell our listeners again that is the best way to contact you is Peter Archer, beyondvision.com. Or can they ring you on the phone? I've got a phone number here. Is that okay to give out? It's
of course.
0412 406 869. I'll just repeat those. Peter Archer, beyondvision.com, or by phone on 0412 406 869.
And you can also email me on Peter_Archer, ARCHER _beyondvision @outlook.com, and you can follow me on Facebook by typing in Peter Archer Beyond Vision. That's where I post a lot of videos and things like that. So
lovely. Well, sadly, we are running out of time, Peter, but it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here and to hear more about Beyond Vision, which is a wonderful community group for those with sight impairment. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Rosemary, and thank you with your help also with promoting the Beyond Vision barbecue. That went really well. We had 63 people come on that day because of your assistance, which was a record number for Link Vision. So thank you.
How terrific. Well, thank you, Peter, and thank you, Paul, once more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great friends and great chats. That was another Lots to Chat About with Rosemary Peterswald. Stay tuned next week for another amazing chat.